Okay, 1 second, y'all. I'm hoping my internet's gonna be working with me today. It looks like it is so far. I appreciate your patience as I had to use the bathroom. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Okay. Camera should look better. Hold on, give me 1 second. Alright, sorry. Lights are now on, so things should look a little bit better. Alright, so got some things to talk about today. Not a great game, obviously, and I'm going to point out a couple of things that I think really this is the reason why I'm concerned about this team moving forward. But you know, stuff is what it is, honestly, at this point. So final score, this is kind of what I expected the final score to be, but this isn't a good representative of what happened this game. This was not a good game by the Bulls. Not good by any means. I think the big thing that did happen that kept the Bulls in it were these two. Oh, that's black. Sorry. These 2 quarters here. Okay, the Bulls defense. Okay, I'm still like on this mindset that the Bulls defense is overall pretty solid still. Like, I still have this mindset that they're looking pretty good on the defensive end, but I guess you just see a difference of when the Bulls defense is just straight up just being good overall and they're just getting stops versus when they actually are really forcing turnovers and getting out on the break. This Bulls team just straight up, they depend so much on getting out on for points off turnovers, forcing turnovers, or just getting out on the break. Because even when they get just the normal rebound, they don't get out on the break enough. They still don't have that personnel, obviously, but then also they just don't have the overall ability just to get out there on the break quick enough, even if they just get the rebound. And that, I think, is something that they need to look into moving forward, is something that needs to change. This game overall, though, I think it just truly shows you just how terrible this Bulls offense is, because the rest of the other numbers for this Bulls team, it doesn't look bad. You had more assists than the Milwaukee Bucks, which is something that people have constantly been talking about. This Bulls team is always just playing ISO ball, and they just don't pass the ball. The guys were passing tonight, and honestly, I would like to know the exact number of like actual projected assists that this team should have had tonight, because I could easily see this number being 30, but guys were not hitting shots, and it wasn't just the Levine and DeRozan weren't hitting shots. It was everybody that were missing some gimmies that I was like, oh, that's a good pass, it's a good play. They just missed it. The Bulls had 9 steals tonight. They had more blocks than the rim protecting Milwaukee Bucks, who have Giannis and Brook Lopez. Okay, like everything in this shows that the Bulls, they besides, you know, obviously the shooting, they're doing everything right. They had 6 turnovers compared to 15 for the Bucks. The Bulls didn't have, the Bulls had 1 turnover in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, like the Bulls are doing literally everything that you're asking them to do. They're winning the small categories. They're winning the overall like team ball movement. They're winning the overall, you know, making sure that you control the basketball. But yet we still see this Bulls team is losing, right? And you could be like, okay, there's 2 defensive quarters that were not great. Obviously, giving them 35 points in a quarter is not great, right? But the main thing that I'm looking at is that I'm seeing these quarters here as very, very big problems. These are major warning signs. And the fact that this Bulls team took 11 more shots than the Milwaukee Bucks, they got 100 shots tonight, guys. Like, do you remember when I was talking to you guys earlier this season where Will Perdue was talking about how this Bulls team, the way that they can fix their offense is that they get more shots, they increase their tempo, and instead of them taking 80 shots a game, they're taking closer to 90 plus shots a game, right? The Bulls did that tonight. The problem is that they just suck, right? So it's this whole talk about, well, the Bulls, they got to increase their tempo, they got to make sure they do all the little things, right? The Bulls have done all the little things, in my opinion, especially in this game. Again, defensive end, you can argue. It's really just that this team just does not make shots. They just don't. And the half-court offense is just so atrocious that even, yes, they don't even turn the ball over, so it doesn't show up in the box score. They just suck, man. That slow start obviously killed them. And you had 2 decent quarters, but these 2 quarters were like based off of their, or I guess specifically the second quarter was not even their half-court offense. This was just kind of like the Bulls were really sticking in it with their offensive rebounding, right? Which I also think the Bulls are doing a decent job of this year. They have more offensive rebounds than the taller Milwaukee Bucks tonight. They only got out-rebounded by 6. Like, I don't know, man. It really shows you that this team's like overall ceiling, they're screwed. Like, this is one of those games where they should be at least in this one more, and they weren't in this one tonight. And whole reason why, this, like, there's nothing else to point to. They didn't turn the ball over, right? They got more deflections, more stocks overall, right? They had more assists than this team, right? They didn't turn the ball over at all, and they only got out rebounded by 6 to a much bigger lineup. Like, what else do you want them to do? They made the same amount of free throws as the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they took, the Milwaukee Bucks took 8 more, like, or 6 more, sorry. It's like, it shows you just how bad this team is on the offensive end. It's just straight up just the offense. 38 shots made out of 100 shots taken. Not great. And you know what? I'll give credit to this team's defense. There are definitely moments where it does seem that the Milwaukee Bucks defense does really, really, really a good job. But there are also moments today where I thought this Bucks defense just straight up, they looked terrible. And we were kind of going back and forth throughout the game, but it just shows you that this team will never really have a high ceiling. And even when they win all the little things in a game like this, they're not going to beat this Milwaukee Bucks team. And it's frustrating. So that's my initial just overall take on it, and I'm gonna go to chat here to kind of talk about some things. I'm actually put my glasses back on because I am blind and I see chat, but it's not very clear. All right, frustrating game, chances galore throughout the second and third quarter to gather a lot of steam and make up the first quarter. LaVine having a bad game. I mean, yeah, I think LaVine obviously had a pretty atrocious game. I think DeRozan also had a terrible game. So when your 2 best scorers aren't having good shooting nights, it was kind of shocking the Bulls were even in it, right? Yeah. Let's see. Imagine being bad at your job and getting pulled aside by your boss to be told you've earned a new multi-million-dollar contract on the down low. I mean, honestly, man. The AK got that new deal. We saw that Billy Donovan got the new deal. It's insane. Kobe and Curry were doing well guarding Giannis second quarter when they had to. Oh, and I agree with them. Then they just went away from it. What do you mean? Are you upset that they put Patrick Williams and Torrey Craig back on Giannis? Because I think that's still the ideal matchup. Like, I don't want Carter or Kobe to be guarding Giannis no matter what. I think that's just a terrible idea overall. So, bro, screw this team. Honestly, MC season, yeah, I'm pretty much done with this overall roster. I've talked about how much that I want to see just a change, right? And who knows, man? I feel like we might be getting closer to it. I did well again on the road. Kobe showed up again. So yeah, I think Io played pretty okay. I don't think it was the best performance by him. Kobe showed up today, and I was happy to see that Kobe did show up today, and it's good to see him finally have a good overall road game. What was interesting to me was that Donovan still went with Io, and he actually put in Patrick Williams over Kobe White to close out the game. So like the final minutes of that game, right, Kobe wasn't in the game, and I don't know why. This was like a good Kobe game, right? And I don't understand it. It truly just doesn't make any sense how Kobe has this good game, right, and suddenly he's benched in this one, right? I was talking about potentially benching Kobe if like we're on the road and he's having a bad game on the road. Like, yeah, don't have him close, right? Then there's no reason to have him close. But he was having a solid game today, and Billy decided to bench him for basically the entire fourth quarter. So I don't get that. I really don't understand why Billy decided to do that. And it just was bad overall, I think, coaching, unfortunately. Hey, Duncan, do you think this loss is more ability or maybe just lack of things he may have done, or DeMar and Zach who didn't particularly play particularly well at all, really? So here's what I'm going to say about both LaVine and DeRozan tonight, because both of them sucked in terms of their overall scoring, right? Both only had one turnover, okay? Oh, sorry. I'm using the white drawing. Sorry. Both only had one turnover, right? Like, it doesn't look like these guys were like really atrocious when they were on the court, right? They had a combined total of 12 assists between them, okay? Zach had 8 rebounds. Like, and this is the thing that they were at least doing, right? Like, they were at least getting to the free throw line, which is something that I'm still like hesitant to say this team will continue doing, right? So they were finding ways to at least get some sort of points, right? So it wasn't like one of those games that we've seen from Zach before where like his shot just isn't going and he's not doing anything else. Like, he at least was doing other things. And I honestly thought that both of their defensive overall rotations tonight, they weren't bad, right? I think I can mention both those times, like both those players, they had like one moment where they just lost their dude when they're playing off the ball, but I think that's just expected, okay? So I honestly, I'm not here to just be like, oh, well, because DeRozan and LaVine both had terrible shooting nights, like this team that's the reason why we lost. Like, yeah, maybe that's a big reason why we lost. I mean, 3 of 14 from DeRozan isn't going to cut it. And obviously Zach going for what was a 1 for 12 isn't going to cut it, right? So this is obviously terrible. But in the end, I'm looking around, right? And this team just doesn't have enough scores in general. Like, even if, let's say, LaVine and DeRozan were going, like, I don't know how much I would trust it. Obviously, Vooch was the dude that was just doing a lot tonight. But even he was missing some shots. I was like, man, you got to make those. But you just look around, besides Kobe, like, I don't see anything, really. And at the three-point line, unfortunately for the Bulls, it was better than maybe we expect. We took 42. But still, it's still not enough, right? So I don't know, bro. I think that this was overall just showing that even if, let's say, those guys were better in a sense, that the team on offense just sucks. They just straight up do. Because this was one of those games where both of those guys were distributing pretty well. They didn't turn the ball over at all, right? And it's like, hey, we need some other people to come up, help us in this one. And credit to Vooch, like, he was doing his thing, but this team just doesn't have enough firepower in the end. Because let's just look at this quick game chart just to show you what I'm about to talk about. Okay, look at all these X's in the middle of, like, right at the rim. Okay, we have too many guys on this squad right now that can't make shots at the rim. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot by Zach here, right? Like, when we go over to Zach missed basically every shot at the rim tonight for whatever reason, right? But in general, though, we're seeing way too many people still missing shots in the paint, okay? And that shows you that guys just don't have enough to score right now. And I think that's a big overall, like, red flag for me, because it's like, hey, look, there are a lot of moments tonight where I thought that there was some pretty good, like, easy chippies that probably should have been made just because it didn't work, right? What's going on, Terrell? Trade Zach, they're hurting us. Samar needs to go. I mean, I wouldn't mind both of them being gone, but I feel like we need to understand also that, like, it's not necessarily all of their fault, right? Sure, they're not blameless, but I'm gonna make sure that we always are gonna be blaming the front office on this, because even let's say that here's the thing, let's say that both Zach and DeRozan have a good game tonight, right? Who knows? Maybe that does work. Maybe the Bulls do somehow win this game. But in the end, we have seen too many games overall, right, where both of them are going, but the team still struggles. Like, we still see, like, terrible offensive performances when, let's say, both of them have 30, right? The team still sucks. Why? Because there's not enough offensive firepower around them. There's not enough shooting, clearly. And there's just clearly not enough. There's not anywhere else where you can be like, oh yeah, there's good offense. Even, let's say, if Vooch is going, right? I mean, we've seen quarters, right? Or yeah, there was a quarter this year where it was legit. It was just LaVine, DeRozan, and Vooch, right? Only those three scored in that quarter. Like, I think that should be a pretty good indicator that, like, yeah, so those three obviously don't work together. But let's say they are on. there's problems, right? There's still going to be problems. I think this is just a big indicator of just that the roster construction just sucks. It just straight up sucks. Even though this was just a terrible night for them on the shooting end. William is 70-69 while DeMar and Zach were poo-poo. Bucks started to run. Billy called a time where we were down by 17. Need we say more? I'm getting tired watching your team. It's draining me. I mean, yeah, I think we're all tired of watching this team. But hey, man, I'm here. I'm not calling you. I'm not going to ever say like you're a fake Bulls fan. I think we're all tired of watching this team because it is frustrating to watch them. And there are a lot of moments where I'm like basically like in my chair and just I'm like, oh crap, there goes my headset. But like I have a lot of moments where I'm just sighing, right? And yeah, this team is very hard to watch, and I think we know why in the end. Let's see, how many shot clock violations do we have? We had at least a couple tonight. I think we had 2, but like in the end though, Taro, like I'm not even concerned about that because the team, like I said, they only had 6 turnovers tonight. Like, so I guess if 2 shot clock violations are, you know, that's you know, they basically only had 4 turnovers then that were like live ball turnovers or just bad turnovers, right? Like, that wasn't awful in a sense. I will say though that maybe the shot clock violation is a good indicator of how bad the offense is because they just can't find anything, right? But yeah, I mean, in terms of the overall turnover stuff, like I'm not too concerned about that. But yeah, in terms of like not being able to actually generate a good look, yeah, it's bad. It's pretty awful. Because Zach and DeRozan are too high demand of the ball. That's why no one else can grow or score. So let me counter that argument that you just made, Zayover. Okay. So Zach took 19 shots tonight. DeRozan took 14 shots. Vooch took 24 shots tonight. Okay. Kobe got 14 shots. I mean, I think, and that was only 26 minutes. I think that's plenty. Okay. And we can just look at this right here, and we see 100 shots taken by this team tonight. Okay. LaVine averages 18. DeRozan averages 18. Okay. So let's say that we're trying to get right about. Let's just go off of 100 shots. Okay. LaVine and DeRozan, they average 18 shots per night. So Vooch took 24 tonight. Okay. The others can fill that gap easily. I honestly don't think that this is all about like, oh my god, these 2 guys are holding guys back. Because I already know the big arguments about Patrick Williams, but it's truly just not. I mean, Pat, you know, he was 4 for 7 tonight. I appreciate that he hit his threes, but unfortunately there was a couple of moments still that I'm looking at that and I'm like, you need to score that bucket, and he didn't. And I'm talking about layups. Okay. So it honestly, to me, considering that Dosunmu played 25 minutes tonight, only got 4 shots, I think that's more in the sense of like, hey, guys either need to just need to shoot more when they have the shot available, or you gotta make them, right? This isn't like, oh my god, we have like Russell Westbrook when Kevin Durant left and he's averaging like 33 plus shots per game. Okay, that's not what we have here, right? Again, this Bulls team had 24 assists tonight. So if you're going to talk about overall ball movement and making sure that others get involved and are actually able to score the basketball, well, this was a pretty good indicator of it, in a sense that obviously Vooch was taking a lot of shots, but this was a night for that to happen. And I can argue that there are certain players that just did not really take advantage of that said situation. About moving away from it, when I mentioned Kobe and Carter guarding Giannis, I meant the pressure. Patrick did well in the last few minutes. Consistent pressure is lacking. Do you mean off-ball pressure, or like what are you talking about? Like, are you actually saying like you thought that Kobe and Carter were the best players to guard Giannis in terms of overall pressure tonight? Because I'll say this, like, I thought that, for example, Javon Carter did a good job of helping off, right, where he's guarding someone else and he comes on over to like pressure Giannis off ball. But if you're talking about like on ball pressure, I would disagree with you that Kobe and Carter were the best to guard Giannis tonight, because they didn't get that many opportunities to do so. and even when they did, it wasn't the best. It was typically their off balls, like if they're not the main defender on Giannis, right, and they come on over, that's when they did a pretty decent job. So if you're talking about that, then I agree with you. But talking about them being like the overall best option for them to be guarding Giannis, I think that's pretty questionable. I'm not saying that like Torrey Craig was like amazing tonight, but he's very clearly the best option. And I think Pat had some moments, but I also think Pat had some terrible moments in terms of his overall defense on Giannis. So I can understand maybe what you're saying. Kick me down. I don't care, especially I just want the teammates to feed off of each other. You mean on defensive end? Are you talking about? Yes. Okay. So, what I'm getting from you is that you want the defense just to be on a better string, like. Okay, if they see someone that has a mismatch in a sense, or you see someone back down in the post, then you want to make sure that they come over and rotate effectively. Or what the Bulls have done pretty much all season is that they double team someone in the post, right? Am I correct in that, or am I missing something? Kick me down. Yes, sir. Okay, I got you. Eventually, we usually start effing up when someone decides to go for a double team. Then our rotations usually break down. Someone always falls asleep. Really? I actually think that the bigger defensive breakdowns this season have been off the pick and roll stuff for the Bulls. I think when, for example, when Giannis, or when we saw when we played the Phoenix Suns and we were double teaming Durant all the time, like I actually think those rotations, in my opinion, are like they're overall pretty solid, right? I think that those rotations look pretty good overall. I think it's more so when we see the pick and roll go into play, and then we see guys start to go on rotation and understand that, okay, well, if I was guarding this guy, right, but because I rotated, then my next assignment's over here. They don't understand that, right? And it's not just like LaVine and DeRozan, okay? Like it's not just those two. Like, yeah, those two are like the main culprits of it, but I'm seeing a lot of times where I feel like for example, like Kobe White doesn't understand where he needs to be sometimes. I think Kobe's effort, right, in terms of his overall ability to get over a screen, and the ability to take a charge, I think that's actually really good from what he's done so far. I still think that teams understand that he's like an overall weakness on the defensive end, but I think still that we're seeing moments where the rotations aren't perfect. And let me see if I can find an example of it. So, hey, where am I? Third quarter. Okay, the third quarter. This is sorry. Let's just go right to YouTube TV, because I do have some stuff I want to look into this game. In the end, I'll just say this: like I think we all expected the Bulls to lose this one. So, I mean, I think the true test, in my opinion, is in the next 4 games, because it's against Orlando twice and then Miami twice, right? I think that's going to be the big overall test to see where this team really is, right? And if they're worse than we think. Like I said, I projected 46 wins this season. That's not looking great right now. But yeah, I think that's like the next 4 games are going to be the true test, because I don't think any of us thought that the Bucks were going to be you know, or we're gonna beat the Milwaukee Bucks tonight, right? Sorry, I'm trying to pull up YouTube TV here. So let's just watch this play, for example, because I think this is where the Bulls have actually done a pretty decent job this season. Okay, like I think the Bulls, like I don't have many complaints about this specific defense that I'm about to show you. Okay, so this is in the third quarter. Okay, and so there's this initial switch. I don't like this really, but we're gonna live with it, right? And we see here, then we have like a slight pick and roll with Lillard and Giannis, but he goes right to the post. Okay, so now he has DeMar DeRozan, right, guarding him, right? It's not Torrey Craig, okay? It's DeMar DeRozan is on Giannis Antetokounmpo. So we see here, this is how it's supposed to go, okay? The person that is always on the top side closest to the guy in the post, they always come down to double. So in this case, it's Kobe White comes off of Damian Lillard, right? And then we see that Torrey Craig is guarding Chris Middleton, right? And he has to slide up. Then Zach has to kind of play in the middle here. Like, he has to cover both these guys, right? Just in case if there is a throw out to either one of these two, right? So I think everything in this sort of possession, right? I think the Bulls do this really well. Like, I think Zach is in the right spot, right? And so this is where I think maybe that you can make an argument that the Bulls have to do better, but everything right here so far is done right. And even with Zach running out to Middleton, this is correct because Zach was guarding Beasley and then he's running out to Middleton. So all this is correct. But what needs to happen here, and I think this is maybe the main argument you have, Box, is that these two have to communicate. Someone has to run out here, right? I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's DeRozan. I don't care if it's Kobe. Someone has to run out, right? So Zach is able to get out here and he forces the pass out of Middleton, but Kobe's like a step late, right? Because what Kobe should have done right as the pass was let go by Giannis, he needs to just go, right? He needs to just think, I gotta get to the corner. Don't even think about it. Don't even look where the pass is going. He has to just bolt to the corner, okay? And he's like a step late in a sense, but it still ended up working out pretty well. I mean, this is like a pretty decently contested shot, and we didn't let Giannis obviously get like an easy one-on-one matchup. And I'll live with this shot, even though it's a good three-point shooter by Malik Beasley and good ball movement by the Bucks. I'll live with that. Like, I won't be upset by that whatsoever. Yeah. About the high demand of the Bulls, I thought the same last season. Sorry. About the high demand of the Bulls, I thought the same, but about last season's Bulls, not this season. So here's what I think, okay, about like this high demand talk. Like, I've talked about this before with Patrick Williams. Sorry, is the music still working? Okay, it is. I've talked about this with Patrick Williams. Like, I don't care what you think. If you think DeMar DeRozan is like taking shots away from Patrick Williams or if is preventing his development, you know what? You can have that. You can have that sort of thought, and I'm not gonna be here to argue with you about it. But here's my only thing that I have to say about it. If Patrick Williams can't play next to DeMar DeRozan and be an effective player on the game, okay, then he can't play next to anybody. Okay, put him next to LeBron James. I don't care. If he can't figure it out next to DeMar DeRozan, of all people, he won't be able to figure it out next to anybody. Okay, so with Pat, I understand. If you think that the Bulls are preventing his development, fine. But the thing is at the end of the day, he is being asked to play a role that doesn't require a lot of skill, right? He is being asked to play a role that does not require a lot of like overall like skill that he doesn't need to have a bag, right? He isn't asked to be the one that has to penetrate the defense constantly. He isn't even asked to be a playmaker, right? He is being asked to be an effective role player, okay? And I don't care what he was picked overall. This is something that I think everyone should have the ability to do, okay? And with Pat, specifically with his overall body and his skill set, he should be more effective than what we're seeing so far, okay? That's getting more rebounds, because the one thing that I can't stand what people are talking about, it's like, well, we're not playing Pat enough minutes for him to get numbers. Torrey Craig played 22 minutes tonight. He got 12 rebounds, okay? 7 offensive rebounds. Torrey Craig is basically the same body type as Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams had more time played tonight than Torrey Craig, and neither were in foul trouble. And Torrey Craig had 12 rebounds, 7 offensive. Patrick Williams had 3, okay? That to me is just a big indicator of how different those two players are, and why I think that Pat is just like, this isn't a thing of like opportunity. This isn't a thing about playing time. This is just him not doing enough. He himself is not being a good enough player right now, okay? Torrey Craig, like, he is being asked to do what Torrey Craig does every single night. Torrey Craig, 12 rebounds, 7 offensive. Pat, he has 3, okay? That's the difference. That's literally the difference, okay? Again, this dude played less minutes than this dude. That's the big problem, okay? So sure, if you want to talk about Patrick Williams and his lack of development and maybe the Bulls are screwing him over, I think you have like a pretty decent overall argument about like the Bulls' lack of development for a bunch of players. Now, here's the thing. I'll say this. I was wrong about Wendell Carter Jr. overall. I was a big Wendell Carter Jr. fan, and I thought the Bulls absolutely just screwed him over. But his time in Orlando so far, like, he's had some nice overall numbers, but his overall impact is not what we thought it was. Like, I actually thought Wendell was going to be Al Horford 2.0, and he's very much not that, okay? He is like a pretty okay starting center, all right? If he even is playing center, all right? I think we can always talk about Lauri Markkanen, sure, and yeah, maybe that's on the Bulls, but he also went to Cleveland, right? And he didn't perform there either, right? So we can argue about that one too. But yeah, the Bulls haven't had a track record of developing guys. But in the end, what Pat needs to be doing right now, okay? I don't think that this should be even a talk about his development. This is just a straight up that I don't think he's playing hard enough. And he himself does not have the motor right now to be putting up these sort of, like, putting up better performances, okay? I know that he can take he can dribble into the mid-range and shoot the ball, okay? I know he can do that. That's not something I need him to prove to me. What I do need him to prove to me is that, can you get 10 rebounds in 20 minutes like we're seeing from Torrey Craig, right? Can you affect the game without plays being called for you? Because that's something that a lot of players, right, in the league, they do effectively. They don't have any sort of plays called for them, and they make a good impact on the game. And I think that's where, with Pat, it's like, it's very, very, very concerning at this point, where it seems like if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, right, he doesn't seem effective, right? And that makes no sense to me. He needs to be better. Sure, he's not being, he's not having the ball put into his hands, okay? But Kawhi Leonard, I'm just going to tell you right now, Kawhi Leonard did have plays called for him in his first couple of years, right? And yes, Kawhi Leonard turned into that superstar, but Kawhi was by no means even the third option with that San Antonio Spurs team, okay? He affected the game without plays being called for him, okay? So I need to see that from Pat, and I'm not seeing that from Pat. Straight up, I'm just not seeing it, and he needs to be better. Tonight's a pretty overall decent game from him. He made those threes, right? He took open three-point looks when he should have, and he made them, okay? But the rebounding needs to be better, and I honestly thought the defense had some questionable moments, but I'm not going to be too concerned about it because it's Giannis, okay? So I'm not going to be like upset about his defensive effort tonight. But the Bulls are struggling on the boards, right? The Chicago Bulls suck right now on the boards, and there is a man, in my opinion, that is getting played more minutes than his starting, the dude starting over him right now that could be affecting the boards more impactfully, just overall. That's just my opinion in the end, okay? Look, Zach LaVine has been a player that, like we've talked about, he doesn't really rebound a lot. Like, we've seen him always leaking out on the break and trying to get easy, fast break buckets, okay? Zach had 8 rebounds tonight. Like, if Zach LaVine is out rebounding you in a sense of, like, okay, he's actually putting in more effort than you on the overall glass, like, I think that should be an overall indicator that there's a serious problem. And it's not what the coaches are doing, it's what you're doing, okay? His defense was crazy. His defense kept this guy 3-pointers in check. Did you see the blocks? What specifically? What are you talking about, Zay? Over. Oscar Thompson is just a rookie that plays better than Pat. Bro, it's insane what Oscar Thompson is doing, right? Like, this dude is like, I think he's like leading the rookies in terms of stocks and steals and blocks already. Like, he doesn't have a 3-point shot, right? But I'm seeing him affect the game more than what I'm seeing Pat do right now, and I don't get it. And I think we kind of understand that after just watching the Pistons, the Bulls just beat the Pistons. Like, they have problems. Like, the Pistons, they're young and they're still trying to figure things out. And I like Cade Cunningham and everything, but like they don't really have like a lot of room for Oscar Thompson to be like, go out and go be an effective play. They don't put the ball in his hands or anything like that, right? Like, there's very clearly like a big emphasis with Cade, and obviously when Jalen Duren is healthy, right? Killian Hayes is obviously, he's getting more touches in a sense. Like, it's not like Austin Thompson is being asked to be, you know, on the ball and making plays, right? He is straight up just, there's no plays called for him. He just goes and gets rebounds. He gets rebounds, and then he goes in, blocks shots, and gets a lot of steals. Okay, like that's what I want to see from Pat, because I know you can do it. He just hasn't shown it. All right. Zayo, I'm not exactly sure what you mean with your comments. Like, you're talking about Pat, because yeah, I think Pat's defense is pretty solid overall. I'm not, again, I think he had some moments today where it didn't make much sense in my opinion, but I'm not going to be too critical of it. But yeah, I think Pat's defense is like, it's pretty good, but I don't think it's Austin Thompson level. I don't think it's like top of the league level. Like, I think a lot of people act as if Patrick Williams is like Alex Caruso level defense, right? And he's like, well, if AC doesn't put up many points, right, and he's still effective defensively, so Pat can like maybe be in the same argument. But I'm like, no, AC's defense is in a completely different league than Patrick Williams. Like, there's not even a discussion about it. Like, I think that's something that we need to make sure we understand. And Pat, I think that, you know, I'm not asking him to be AC level type defense, but I think he needs to be better overall defensively. So look, here's one more thing that just to end this Patrick Williams talk, because I will say I'm not overall happy with what I'm seeing from Pat. And this is, again, I'm a dude that has defended Pat. I have said, like, people come in asking me like, well, if you don't think Patrick Williams is a bust, then like why? Like, can you explain why, right? Like why you don't think Pat is a bust? And I've given my explanations, okay? Like, I've said that I think Pat, like, if you kind of just look at his overall trajectory, like, he looks like he's OG Anunoby 2.0. Now, the thing is, though, is that he has to continue moving forward, and OG Anunoby, for example, is another dude that doesn't, like, as he was growing up with the Raptors, like, he never really had the opportunity to be, like, a main source of the offense, okay? Obviously, now he's a bigger part of the offense, but as he was growing, right, and as he was getting more experience, like, he wasn't really part of the offense for the Raptors, and yet I still, like, you could see him affect the game, right? And with Pat, like, I don't understand why we're at this point now where, like, we're talking about him, like, when he, like, gives more effort, like, even if he doesn't put anything, he doesn't even get the offensive rebound, like, we just see more effort from him on the rebounding aspect, like, we just applaud him, and I'm just like, that's bare minimum, okay? So I do appreciate that we're seeing more effort overall in the past couple of games since he's been coming off the bench on the rebounding aspect, but that's bare minimum. Like, that should be bare minimum expectations from Patrick Williams. So we need to be asking him to be more, okay? How can you make sure that you get more offensive rebounds every single game, okay? Can you set harder screens and attack the basket better on your rolls? Right, defensively, what can you do more? Okay, and then obviously on the glass, like, it's just a big overall thing. So now Brazil populace. I saw a video of the Bulls versus Bucks where Pat was guarding Giannis. Giannis would blow by him every single time. Then Caruso would start guarding Giannis, and he wouldn't let Giannis blow by him. I mean, look, I think, yes, in the end, Caruso is a better defender, but I'm not trying to, like, get into, like, that whole, like, well, Pat, you know, on Giannis talk, okay? Like, I understand, for example, with the Giannis, when he has to guard Giannis, like, I think Pat overall on Giannis did a pretty decent job tonight. I'm not here, like, complaining about it too hard, but I'm talking about with Pat, his overall defense, okay, where I see more opportunities where he could be, like, a better rim protector, okay? Or I see more opportunities where he can get into the passing lane. Or I see more opportunities where he can just be able to pickpocket somebody. If he's not guarding, so let's say a Giannis in a sense, but he's guarding a player that is a little bit more loose with the basketball, that isn't as good of a player, his hands, right, can be better. And that's where I'm talking about with Pat, where I expect more from him, okay? Guarding Giannis, no one can guard Giannis, okay? Even Alex Caruso cannot guard Giannis. I understand that, and I don't want to have, like, the expectation that Pat needs to stop Giannis, okay? That's an unrealistic expectation because no one can stop Giannis. But we're talking about defensive rotations, right? A lot with this team, and I think Pat needs to be better in terms of just the overall that, because then he'd be in more opportunities to block shots. But also, like, we saw him get a steal early on in this game, right? And I think that this is something that I need to see more from him. Let's see, where was it? Here it was. Let's see if NBA put it in already. Okay, perfect. So, like, right here, for example, like, this is something that I need to see more from Pat. Like, I know that he can do this, and he can. This is basically him using his length to affect the game, right? So it's an offensive rebound situation, right? And you see the campaign doesn't exactly make the best decision in this moment, right? And even Pat here, for example, like, he's doing everything right, but this is where he can take the next step. Okay, like, he can do this every night. This is something that he can do every single night. He has the length, he has the overall body to do this, right? And he got this, okay? And he's out on the floor, right? And dunked it. Like, that can be done every single night. That's not something that's not a play drawn up for him. That's not anyone telling him like he's like forced to do this. This is just him. This is him doing simple things, right? And we don't see this enough, right? We need Lonzo. Oh, I agree, but I mean, we're not gonna have Lonzo, in my opinion, for this iteration of this Bulls team. So this team needs to be better without Lonzo. If Pat could force a jump ball on Giannis, I mean, he should be able to do it a lot more without a problem in other games. Oh, I mean, that jump ball that he forced on Giannis, like, yeah, I applaud him for that, right? But then we saw that moment where Zach was trying to, like, to steal the, like, Zach got a tip and everything, and we just saw Pat just, like, he didn't seem aware of what was happening, right? So let's go to this, right? So there's a jump ball around here somewhere. Yeah, so let's watch this block. Like, this is Pat. This is all Pat, right? This is good. Good defense overall. He read the spin by Giannis, okay? Clearly read the scouting report on him, and he forced his jump ball. But then we saw this next play where I'm like, look, that's great. Like, this is really good. But then, where was it? I think it was this play here, right? We're like, Zach's trying to get this. Zach doesn't get it, right? Like, I understand Malik Beasley's here. Like, I understand this is a rough situation overall, but like, this just has to be better. Straight up, this just has to be better. And even let's just say he fouled him in a sense, just to make sure he doesn't get an easy layup. Like, that would have been better than what he did here. Like, this to me was unacceptable from what I saw from Pat and this specific play. But like, again, I'm not here to be like breaking down Pat on Giannis in a sense. Like, we're just talking about overall, like, throughout the season, okay? And just so, like, to make sure, like, I'm not trying to be like a Pat hater in a sense. Like, I'm literally just being like, I'm concerned and I want more from him, okay? But let's watch this, right? Because Pat got this block on Damian Lillard, where, again, this is good overall solid defense, right? He stopped the initial drive by Lillard, okay? Good. And then he forces Lillard into a step back shot, blocks this one, and then Lillard tries to recover with the shot clock winding down, and he steps out of bounds. Like, this is all fantastic stuff from Pat. And I just need to see more of this moving forward, right? And it can't just be like, oh, I'm guarding Damian Lillard tonight, or I'm guarding Giannis tonight, then I'm gonna bring my A game, okay? 26% from Zach. Oh yeah, I mean, look, this overall team didn't shoot well. Obviously, DeRozan and Levine were not shooting well tonight, so they're a big reason why they didn't shoot well. But yeah, not great here, not great here. And even Vooch going 11-24 is not amazing, but obviously he was the one scoring, so not too much to even talk about. But I mean, not a single person in the 60s. The Bulls shot 38% tonight. It's bad. It was overall just bad tonight on the offensive end yet again. So yeah. Other thing that I do want to just point out here, okay, because this is the part that I've talked about it in the last stream, which thank God my internet's working today, so I get to talk more. But I talked about how, okay, if this Bulls team is not going to be shooting threes, that's fine, but they have to make sure then they're buying into the offensive system. Okay, so the Bulls instead tonight, they shot 42 threes, so they decided, hey, we're just going to shoot threes instead. Okay, shot chart's not amazing, a little bit too many mid-range shots in my opinion, but it is what it is. But like, if they're gonna buy into the let's not shoot threes, right, then you can't just get 38 points in the paint. That's not good enough, right? And if you're saying, and adding on to that, you can't shoot 21 free throws. You have to get 25 plus free throws per night, in my opinion. And they didn't do that either. And that's with Zach attacking and DeRozan going to the line 5 times. So the others have to get to the line more. It really just shows you just how bad this team is set up. And they're honestly pretty much just set up to fail overall. 1 second. Sorry, responding to a text message. So, in the end, we can move on from this game because I showed you a few things. I'll show you one more thing that I think that this team can maybe in a sense improve on overall, but I think hold on. Okay, so okay, no, this was a Pat moment, right? Okay, so this is, unfortunately, we're gonna go back to the Patrick Williams talk because I kept this I kept a mental I put down a mental note about this because this is where, in my opinion, Pat needs to get better. Okay, so first off, you know, good overall defensive possession by Pat in this play. I have no issue with it. This is all good. I like the fact that he's pushing up the floor. Now, probably should have recognized this dude over here. He's pretty much wide open, but we'll live with it. But Pat decides, okay, I'm gonna take this by myself, which this is something that we've been asking Pat to do. Okay, and so he does this little hezzy dribble, right, and gets Pat Connaughton off guard, and he gets to step on him. Now you got to finish this. Okay, like this is Pat's next step that we've talked about a lot. Is that there are moments where it seems like with Pat that like we question his ability to even get to the rim, and then even if he gets to the rim, we question his ability to finish. So he got to the rim on this play, right? But we don't even see Bobby Portis in this play even jump up to even contest this. Like Bobby isn't even going up with verticality or anything on this. This is just straight up a Patrick Williams needs to finish this play, and he just misses it. So there are a couple things that I'm always concerned about when I see this. One is, what's your overall conditioning look like? Because one of the things that I know some players have an issue with is when they try to finish through contact in these sort of scenarios, right? Maybe their core strength just isn't there. Like they don't have the core strength to really get through contact and adjust midair and finish strong. And their body just gives out. So that's maybe my first question. But my second question is, why hasn't this been worked on by Pat? Because this is an area where he has always struggled with, when he goes with his left hand and he tries to finish it through just some simple contact. This wasn't even really a contest by Bobby Portis. And if anything, Pat needs to make sure that Bobby doesn't get even a chance to get a good contest off, right? Where he's making sure that he pushes into Portis' chest to get him off balance and then finish strong. So look, I'm really not I'm not like a player coach or anything. I recognize some things, but maybe someone else can like point out something to me. But this just to me looks like a straight up like he just isn't strong enough, or just maybe loses the basketball and doesn't understand exactly where he is. But look, if this was a rookie missing this, because like how many times have we seen Kobe White, you know, in his younger years, right? In his first 2 seasons, he would miss something like this, okay? And I understood it. I mean, the dude, he isn't strong enough yet. He's learning how to play basketball in the NBA. Like, that makes sense, okay? This is year 4. And I understand maybe Pat hasn't had, you know, he missed all of year 2, but this has to be better. This just straight up has to be better. This just can't happen. To me, there's not a foul in this. If you argue there's a foul, maybe, but I don't know how this can happen. This just straight up can't happen with Pat. And look, for Pat, for example, if he was doing this already, then I'm not bringing this up. Okay, like Zach missed like all of his layups today, but Zach LaVine has a track record of being a very good finisher at the rim. Okay, so I'm not gonna be like on Zach about like missing all those shots today at the rim. Like he usually finishes those. Okay, but because Pat has never had a good track record of finishing at the rim, and then I'm seeing this, like this just can't happen from Pat. And so I don't know what it's going to take from him, but moving forward, it's got to be better. Last thing I'll point out in terms of the overall just film, if I could find it. Was it this? I'm just gonna look at this because I'm not entirely sure.
It's a new season high. It surpasses the 18 that he got against Detroit. And the tip
no, that's a made, but I don't remember what it was, and we might just move on from it. Yeah, forget about it. He was the defense. Hold on. No, never mind. It wasn't this either. So, yeah, we'll move on from this game overall because I don't think we expected the Bulls to win this one. They had their moments, obviously, like what we've talked about, right? But this just isn't like one of those games where I'm going to be like really diving in, like, you know, making like being oh my god, the Bulls should have won this one, etc., etc., etc. Like it's a tough game to win. Last thing I'll just say that just to end on a positive note yet again, okay, the Bulls in terms of their overall defense, okay, I still think it's looking pretty solid overall. There are still moments, especially at the beginning of games, it doesn't look too great, but let's point this out because I think this is important to point out. Okay, so Giannis, yes, he obviously had his 35 points, but he had 3 turnovers, which is what we want to see. Okay, Lillard had 5 turnovers and he had a terrible night shooting. Okay, so this just shows you how this Bulls team so far, like, they've had some pretty good moments overall against some stars, okay, where they've done a good job of like not fully shutting them down, but making life difficult. Okay, and I understand Lillard's coming back from like a left thigh contusion or whatever, so you know maybe this was a little bit of help from him, but this is good. Like if you're keeping Damian Lillard to 12 points and 5 turnovers, like you're doing something right. So that's good. Okay. And obviously we saw some turnovers by Chris Middleton, who also didn't have that big of a game. Okay, obviously Giannis is the big one and is always going to kill us, and Bobby Portis for some reason always kills the Bulls. I think maybe we know why, but this thing by the Bulls, like I've talked about, like I think that they're seriously winning like some of these little battles, right? I said at the beginning of the stream, like this team in my opinion has won the small battles that they need to win, but in the end the offense just still isn't enough for it to be effective, right? For us to actually like always be winning games. So let's just go to miscellaneous here because this is something that I think a lot of us are kind of looking into, like opponents points off turnovers. Okay, like oh sorry, hold on, what is it? No, points off turnovers, sorry. So the Bulls so far this season, okay, this is updated with the Milwaukee Bucks game, they're second in the league in points off turnovers. Okay, I mean this is something that we've been asking this Bulls team to do all of last season, right? And they're doing it. Like we're seeing it. This is really solid by the Bulls. Okay, they are just dominating in this category. Now fast break points though, this is something where maybe the Bulls aren't exactly doing great. As you can see, they're down here, so that needs to get better. Okay, but the Bulls, they don't turn the ball over. As you can see here, the Bulls have the least amount of giving up points off turnovers in the NBA so far this season. So they don't turn the ball over. They make the other team turn the ball over, and they score off those turnovers, but they're still not getting enough points in the end. So it all comes down to, yet again, the half-court offense that we have been struggling to just figure out still for whatever reason. And I still think it's because of this percentage of 2-pointers off mid-range shots. Bulls are leading the league right now in that category, and it will never change, unfortunately. If you're wondering about just overall field goals made, assisted, let's just look at this year. Bulls are down here, so this is something that maybe they still need to start working on. Field goals made unassisted, the Bulls are up, or no, actually. Yeah, they're actually up here. So yeah, they're actually pretty high up there. But yeah, in the end though, I still like the Bulls in terms of the 3-point. Let's see, 3-point stuff. Oh no, they're actually pretty down low. So maybe they need to figure out just a better overall system. But I still think that they're actually playing just better overall team basketball, because let's look at DeRozan's assist numbers this season. Or is there a potential assist number that the Bulls could be looking into? No. No, that's not it. Advanced. This is a turnover. What is this? Okay, so that's that. This is his turnover ratio, which the Bulls are so they don't give up the ball. Yeah. Okay. And then one last thing I'm gonna check. Oh, okay. Same thing, I guess. Oh, this is per game. Oh, got it. This is yikes. Okay, I don't want to look at that. This is rough. Let's look at one more thing of just overall team stats. Team points in the paint. Bulls are still probably in a bad position here. So the Bulls are right now, this number has gone up. So 47.4. It was 46.9 before the Detroit Pistons game. This number's gonna go back down after today. So yet again, we're seeing that this Bulls team has not bought into this, and this Bulls team still won't shoot the 3 ball. I mean, this is just what you're gonna get, unfortunately. Bad half-court offense. As you can see here, the Bulls are right now, they're 22nd in the league. 32 3-pointers attempted. Not good. Overall assists they're down here too. Gonna do one more thing of what else here? General tracking. Not this. Let's do overall passing, because I know that a lot of people have talked about this. So let's see. Bulls are middle of the pack in terms of passes made in a game. Okay. This is potential assist actually. So they're down here. Okay. So I was wrong. So yeah, maybe the Bulls aren't doing enough to do better assist jobs, but that's a big combination of things. Pacers, Bulls are down here. Secondary assists. So the Bulls are actually pretty good in secondary assists. So that still shows that the ball is moving all right. But how many times have we talked about this Bulls team does the catch and think? It doesn't necessarily shoot the ball right. Passes made overall, Bulls are mid-pack. Passes received, same thing. Okay, so yeah, I'll admit I was wrong. This team needs to do a better job overall passing. The only thing that I have the issue that I have with this overall stat though, like, because like you can see here the Bulls in terms of like passes made, they're kind of midish to lowerish pack, right? The thing is that what this won't count right? Like in terms of overall potential assists, is like, let's say the Bulls actually swing the ball pretty well, right? And then the player just decides he's not going to shoot it, or he doesn't actually take the shot, then it doesn't necessarily count. So that's something that the Bulls need to do a better job of. But in the end, I will say this too. This is where the half-court offense, I think, is a problem. And I really think that it's something that it's not just the players that have an issue with this. Like, add in a starting point guard, add in Lonzo Ball, sure. But this team overall, in terms of their half-court offense, like, it's on everybody to make sure that they create more assist opportunities for team. The Bulls did play a team in the Milwaukee Bucks that also don't really pass the ball a ton because they have Lillard and Giannis. So there's that. But yeah, this has to be better by the Bulls overall. You can just see that the potential assist opportunities, like this also includes, like, you know, out on the fast break stuff, right? They're down here. So that to me still tells me that they're playing way too slow. They're not getting out in the fast break and filling the lanes properly. And then guys are still getting too clumped up in areas. So there needs to be better overall job of guys passing and stuff. But it's still, I think it's overall recognition on the offensive end that needs to get better. To me, Pat a lot of times plays like he believes he's undersized. I don't know. That's honestly a really good overall analysis. Kick me down. Like I think that's like a really solid, like, overall thought. Like, that's like a really good overall thought. So Pat did, you know, have a growth spurt. He in high school he was a point guard, right? So that might honestly be it. He might just be stuck in that mentality that he just is smaller, and he's not used to just being one of the bigger dudes out there. But he's gonna have to learn quick. But yeah, that you're honestly right in that sort of analysis that, like, yeah, Pat doesn't Pat just straight up just doesn't think that he's big. He plays as if he's too small. Because there they had David Giannis, we did have Caruso, we could have done worse. I agree, for sure. I definitely agree. But in the end, even without Caruso, this Bulls team should not be shooting 38% on the offensive end. They need to do better than that. Hi, Noel. How you doing? Didn't watch the game, but seems like a solid bench game. Yeah, I think the bench overall was pretty solid in this one. But I think that it was a lot of, like, it was Vooch kind of doing a lot tonight in terms of overall scoring. And the bench is all right. I think Pat obviously had a pretty solid game off the bench tonight, but there could be a little bit better stuff in terms of the other three guys, but I'm not gonna complain too hard about it. Obviously Levine and DeRozan didn't do well, so there's that. But still, it just shows you that this team on the offensive end, they have issues. Even if the Levine and DeRozan are shooting terribly, they shouldn't shoot 38%. Just straight up. There's a moment that this team was shooting 33% in the game. Like, it was terrible to watch tonight, unfortunately, on the offensive end. But the Bulls still managed to score 109, which is kind of crazy. All right, enough of this, because I've talked about how I don't think that this game shouldn't, like, this was not a winnable game for the Bulls in general. So moving on from this. Now, here's my main thing that I am going to be interested in. These next 4 games here are going to really determine, I think, a lot for this Bulls team. Okay. I think a lot of us kind of understand where maybe this is probably going. That this is not going to be a good showing by this Bulls squad. Okay. But if this Bulls team is going to have any sort of success this season with this group of guys, then it's these 4 games right here. In my opinion, they need to win 3 out of the 4. Okay. These are against Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat. Back-to-back games against both teams, okay, and they're all at home. We're at the United Center. We're not going to Florida, right? We're not on the road, and hopefully there shouldn't be any sort of off-court stuff to get guys distracted. So this right here is very clearly just games the Bulls need to go out and win. And I said that I think they need to win 3 out of the 4. Okay, Orlando. Both Miami and Orlando, these are 2 teams that don't shoot the 3 very well. They don't take a lot of threes, and their 3-point percentage is kind of up and down in a sense. So the Bulls shouldn't have that big of an issue in terms of the 3-point line being like, oh, we're going to get beat from the 3-point line in these games. Okay. Now, I say they should win 3 out of the 4 because right here, this game, I think the Bulls are probably going to lose this one. Yes, it is Miami, but it's a second of a back-to-back, seventh, or what is it, the fourth game in 6 nights for the Bulls, so it's kind of rough in that sort of aspect. And it is Miami at the end of the day. But I think the Bulls should win these 2 games against Orlando, and then they should win this game against Miami, hopefully. But this is more of like a 50-50. Like, this one is like a 50-50 in a sense that hopefully you pull out. This one is a little bit harder. That I think that this is probably just gonna be a straight L. But these 2, I think Orlando's better, but they should still be looking to win those games. So that to me is gonna be kind of like a big indicator of the season. If you win 3 out of 4, then suddenly you're pretty close back to 500, and you're looking all right. But if obviously you don't do that, then I think that this overall season is, you can start saying that this overall season is in pretty much big jeopardy. And we'll see then what they do in December, because some players are eligible to be traded in December. Unfortunately, not everybody. But I think some teams in December are going to be calling for some players, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, because Alex Caruso is going to be a hot commodity, and the Bulls need to get a first round pick if they trade him. Just saying. And I know that teams don't want to give up first round pick for Alex Caruso, so keep that in mind for what we're going to see moving forward from here on out with these next 4 games. I think this is like the big stretch for the Bulls in the next 4 games. Yeah, this is going to be big. So just a quick look at like this overall preview. Okay, so when we just look at this, right, the 3-point field goal percent or field goals made, it's very similar across the board. Okay, 3-point field goal percentage, it's also pretty similar. Okay, and then the overall field goal percentage, the Bulls are leading in this. And then in terms of pace, right, or sorry, the Magic lead in this. And then in terms of pace, this is kind of the big difference. Okay, so this is kind of where I'm expecting things to be kind of different for the Bulls, right? They gotta make sure that because this is not going to be too big of an issue, where the Magic are not going to outshoot you, right? Then you gotta win the rebounding battle. You gotta play faster. And then the Bulls have been leading. They've been winning these categories, right? So this just needs to be better. And then in the end, as you look at this, okay, the offensive rating for these 2 teams, right? The Magic have a worse offensive rating, okay, but their defensive rating has been pretty solid. So it just shows you that like this should be pretty winnable for this Bulls team. So they better start doing it soon. Specifically in this game, they need to take advantage. But after that, man, I don't know. If they don't do good in that, then we have some serious problems coming in. And I think that this dude right here is gonna get traded quickly. Who knows where? Honestly, we don't know where. Honestly, and he is unfortunately injured. So we'll see if he plays this upcoming week. All right, let's see here. Quick look around. So one thing that I want to talk with you guys about, now we can move away from this Bulls team, okay, because we don't need to talk about them anymore. So we need to catch up on the rest of the NBA, because I haven't done this in a few streams, okay, but there is some ridiculous stuff in my opinion that's happening right now. So here's some stuff that I cannot believe that we're kind of even witnessing in a sense, because at least in my head, you guys can make the argument back and forth with me about it, but there's some things that don't make sense to me. One is this. Now, I know a lot of you are saying that maybe like you probably think James Harden is just terrible and everything. This to me still doesn't make any sense to me. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Okay. So Dallas Mavericks being 8-2 is insane to me. Because Kyrie missed some games, and we talked about Dallas having some defensive woes, but they've been pretty good already to start. And then obviously the Sacramento Kings, I think, is a little bit concerning, but I think they're gonna win tonight actually. So we'll see what happens. And then Miami jumped back up. So Miami were 1-4 to start the season, then they won 5 straight. Oh, whoops, sorry. So, do y'all want to talk about the Clippers? Because I am astounded at what I'm witnessing from this Clippers team. Because ever since they've gotten James Harden, they've lost 4 straight. I mean, is it 5 straight actually? I think it's 4 straight. But as you can see, they've lost 5 straight in a row. So it's not good for the Clippers overall. This is ridiculous to me what I'm witnessing from this Clippers roster. I'm just gonna say. There was a game for them that I was like, what is happening? Where Westbrook, I think, had like the most shots and he took like 10 threes or something, and things just did not look very good. James Harden, so far in his 4 games with the Clippers, he's averaging 13 points per game. He is shooting a robust 36% from 3-point line. And then he's averaging 2.5 turnovers. So that's great with a minus 16.8 plus minus stuff. This isn't great, what I'm seeing. And apparently, so far, since James Harden has been with the Clippers, he has not attempted a shot within 3 feet of the baskets. So he is literally just taking everything outside. He's not getting into the paint whatsoever. This is just terrible from what I'm witnessing. Now, I was one of the people that was like, I want to see the Clippers go ahead and make this trade for James Harden. The reason why was because I thought that this team that as constructed before, okay, where they didn't have James Harden, I'm like, they're not winning the championship, okay? And if Harden can come in and basically provide them what they really need, okay, because they have a similar kind of problem that the Bulls have, but it's less of a problem. That you have 2 wings, okay, that these 2 guys, they need the ball in their hands, okay, they kind of survey the floor, they're not exactly the best passers, right? But there's not like a distributor, right? They don't have like a distributor out there. And yes, Russell Westbrook is a very good passer. He does a really good job of drawing the defensive attention, but he's not really like the kind of distributor that you would need on this sort of team, right? So I thought Harden would come in and maybe the scoring would take a dip down to like 17 points per game or whatever, but I thought he'd come in and he'd just be racking up the assists. Like it'd be like simple assists for James Harden, because he's very clearly turned himself into more of a point guard in the last couple of years than like a pure scorer, right? So I was like, okay, I think this is actually going to work out pretty nice. Now, defensively, they have some issues because Harden and Westbrook defensively are not great. But then you have George and Leonard that you're like, okay, maybe you can figure it out. 4 games does not look too good. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with this team moving forward, but they're now 3-6. They look kind of worse than the Bulls right now, which is kind of crazy to say. So I don't know, bro. I was happy for them that I was like, oh, this is going to work out even better because they kept Norman Powell, they kept Terrence Mann, and I was like, okay, you kept like your 2 main bench pieces that you need to keep. And yes, you got rid of Robert Covington and Nicholas Batum, but this should kind of work out, and it hasn't worked out. So I don't know what's going to take from this squad, but it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen moving forward. And I'm seeing that I'm dropping frames, so I do apologize if the stream is buffering and the quality just went down. Bro, I was worried that this was going to happen, and I was kind of like pushing the wrap up stream a little bit, but I want to talk about a few other things. Oh my god. What's going on, Anthony? Can anybody, if you guys can hear me right now, like at the very least hear me, can you give me a thumbs up in the chat? Just so I know that you guys can at least hear me, and maybe the screen quality is just as garbage right now, or the stream just stopped in general, because the maybe just stopped in general. Bro, oh my god, man. I appreciate you kicking me down. Bro, my internet has just given me problems the last like week or so. Hey Anthony, who are you too soon to talk about NBA finalists right now? So I mean, I think right now it would be Denver Nuggets, because I don't think there's anyone right now in the West that look even kind of relatively close, besides I guess Dallas in a sense, but I don't fully trust Dallas. And I'd go with Boston right now. The crazy thing about this is that, like, I honestly think, like, I mean, you can even make the argument that the Wizards could be in this, but like, this is just kind of like a crap show right now. So obviously the Bucks are like 6-4 and they should be moving up, but like, they've had some rough go of it all. And then we have a bunch of just like 500 teams here, right? Then the Bulls are down here, and then there's this. So I go with Boston right now and the Denver Nuggets. I think that would be my pick right now, but like you said, it's way too soon to talk about this. I think my main concern right now for the Denver Nuggets is that Jamal Murray is going to be out for a long time, and I don't know how he's going to look. So music was stuttering for a few seconds, but it's okay now. Okay, I stopped the music. But... All right, hold on. I'm getting my phone. I can't believe I'm doing this for the second night in a row, but here we are. Alright, hold on. I have to... Oh, wait. Okay, as I'm about to do this, my stream has now stabilized. So, okay, you guys should hear me now. Hi. My hair is just not having a good day. Hold on. Sorry, that's not how my hair should look. Okay, I've stabilized. I was literally about to go to my mobile hotspot, but I guess that's not needed anymore. Okay. I should turn on the music now. Hopefully this is gonna work. Any sleeper picks? I think the Clips can pull it out. So I do think that the Clippers are gonna be better than what we're seeing. I mean, look, they're 3-6 right now. They're tied with Portland. It's really early still. I just did not expect this to be the start for the Clippers when they got James Harden, because James Harden to me, I thought would actually fix some of their problems, but it seems like it's made things worse. I understand that they have 4 guys who need the ball. Like, I get it, but the thing is that the thing that James Harden would do is that he at least distributes it pretty well. And we've seen him take a back seat in a sense. And I thought that we'd see just better things from him overall. So it's interesting just to see how this is gone. My sleeper pick right now that I'll say that I've been hella impressed with, and I think they're still moving up the ladder, right, is OKC. OKC has really impressed me overall. Now I know that there's some talk about Josh Giddey right now, and how his fit is with Shea, because he kind of looks like the odd man out in a sense, but I think with Josh Giddey, man, like, I think that's going to be looking really, really solid. If he can at least kind of figure out a few things. I can hear you? Okay, appreciate it, Anthony. Oh, my stream cut off right after you said something about your hair. Oh, you can see me again? Okay. Sorry, I'm seeing some weird things on my end right now. Hold on. Okay. Now we're looking better. I'll get it. I appreciate it. I apologize about my internet. Yeah, I basically right when I stabilize, I guess your stream cut out, so that, I don't know why YouTube did that, but I'm stable now. Weird. Okay, But basically, I was answering Anthony's question about the sleeper pick. I think OKC is a major sleeper pick. I think Josh Giddey. There's some talk about Josh Giddey right now about like his fit with the team. And I understand that there's some questions, but I think Josh Giddey is still a good player, and it's early on right now. But OKC they've really impressed me, and I said that I think they're going to be a lot better than people thought. Like, I expect them to get like a lot of wins this year, and they're looking really solid. So this is really cool to see. Houston has impressed me too, but I don't know how long that's going to last. That I have some question marks about that. That Houston's on a 6-game winning streak suddenly, so we'll see how that's going to work out for them moving forward. I had disconnected before you could reply to my comment about Zach. Oh, really? That far ago? Ryan, that was like a long time ago. So I do apologize about that, but yeah. So basically, I'll just say it again. Oh, that was your internet? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so my internet cut out like when we were talking about the Clippers. I don't know if you heard that at all, but like we were in the middle of a talk about the Clippers and my internet just died. But yeah, okay. So my talk about Zach, yeah, 26% from Zach was pretty awful, but then obviously DeRozan was also not good tonight. So your two best scorers did not shoot well, but I think it just kind of shows you that like even if like these two guys are having rough nights, okay, like the team shouldn't shoot just 38%. Like that needs to be better percentage from the field overall by the team. And I still thought that even though that these two guys sucked from their overall shooting, like they only had 1 turnover each of them. Okay, 7 assists for DeRozan, 5 for Levine. I mean, 8 rebounds for Zach. Like it wasn't like one of those games where we've seen from them where like they're just bad shooting and so they're not really doing anything else, right? Like I didn't think the defense was atrocious from them. And I thought they were affecting the game in other ways. It's just that the rest of the team has to just also be good. And we didn't see that, unfortunately. So yeah, it sucks that these two obviously didn't shoot well. And it's probably closer if they did shoot well. I'm not sure if they win, but yeah, it could have been a much closer score. All right, and then last thing I'm going to talk about is the Boston and the 76ers stuff right now. Like it's really interesting to watch, because one of the things that for example with Boston Celtics, like I think Boston in a sense is similar to what the Clippers are, because the Clippers, they have like a similar thing. They have the two like wings that, you know, they all need to score in a sense, right? They all need the ball in their hands. And with Boston, okay, it's like, okay, they have Jaylen Brown, they have Jason Tatum, but then they added Drew Holiday, and I think that's kind of why I was like thinking James Harden's going to help the Clippers. But yeah, Boston with Drew Holiday and Kristaps is looking really, really good. And so to kind of answer Anthony's question about like, you know, too early to talk about finals candidates, like I would put Boston up there. Now Philly has won 8 in a row, which is really good for them. And honestly, since their trade of James Harden, it's looked really good. But I still think Boston's a better team. I think Milwaukee will figure themselves out. I know it's a little early right now for Milwaukee still, for me to be like throwing out red flags, but overall it's yeah, I think I think Milwaukee's gonna be fine. All right, so because I am having some internet issues and I'm a little bit concerned about the stream just gonna cut out, I'm gonna go ahead and do the Pirtle, and then we're gonna call it a day. So if you're only here for my analysis, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Bulls lost, but it does this was a game that I did not expect the Bulls to win, so I'm not tripping too hard about it. Some stuff that we talked about overall in the film, broke some things down, looked at the box score a little bit, but in the end, just another Bulls loss. But Bulls are going to be facing Orlando Magic next 2 games at home, which I think both those games are winnable, and the Bulls should win both those games. Then they face the Heat next. I think they got to take 1-2 against the Miami Heat, and we'll see kind of what the Bulls do in those next 4 games. Because I think it's going to be a lot. It's going to tell a lot how the season's going to go and if guys get traded or not. But that's all for my Bulls analysis tonight. I'm going to do a quick Pirtle, and then we're going to call it a night for the stream. So if you could hit the like button if you haven't already, I would appreciate it a lot. Let's see here. Sorry, my hair. I'm upset about my hair. I don't know why that's happening. All right. Let's see. Random NBA player that's just gonna come to mind in 3, 2, 1. Taylor Horton Tucker. All right, so they're in the Western Conference. They are not a guard. They are taller than 6'4". They're older than 22, and they have a higher number than 5. Okay, so let's just start thinking. They're also not in the Northwest Division. I always forget about division. I'm going to pull this up here. So the division, they again, Western Conference division. Hello, please, thank you. So they're not in this division. So let's go to Pacific Division. Let's just randomly think of somebody, and for some reason my mind goes to let's see, Pizza Zubac. Let's just go with him. Okay, so they're closer to the age 26, but they're still older. They're in the Pacific Division. They're not a center, so we're looking at a forward here. They're shorter than 7 foot. They're between 6'4" and 7 foot, and obviously their number is lower than 40. Okay. All right. So not on the Clippers. So we're looking in this division here. All right. So 26 is about their age range. Andrew Wiggins. Oh, Andrew Wiggins is the player. All right, cool. So Andrew Wiggins is the Pirtle. I appreciate y'all watching me do that. Cool stuff. Let's actually. So one thing that I have noticed about the Warriors, so they're winning games still, but before I end stream, I just want to look at their stats because it's not looking good for them in terms of their overall players. Okay, so Wiggins is averaging 10 points per game. What? Jesus. Klay Thompson's averaging 16, and there's Steph Curry. So the only player to score 20 points in a game so far for the Golden State Warriors is Steph Curry. There is no one else on the Golden State Warriors so far this season to have scored 20 points in a game. It's just Steph Curry only, and I think that's insane. The fact that that's actually a stat. So we'll see how Steph can. Like, I can't believe Steph even has 6 wins on the season. That's insane to me that Steph has 6 wins on the season with that sort of stat being thrown around. But yeah, the Warriors need to figure their stuff out a little bit more because Klay has not had the greatest shooting numbers so far this season. So, but I expect them to figure it out. We'll see how they play moving forward. But all right, that's gonna do it for me tonight. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. I understand it's also a Monday night, so appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Bulls obviously lost this one. Overall, does suck, but I'll be here for this game against the Orlando Magic on Wednesday. All right, appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.